You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. Hope you're well. The interview subject that I've got prepared for you today is one of my favourite guitarists of all time. It is Swedish maestro Marcus Jidell from the outfit Avatarium. Now, the reason for the conversation, though, is to promote Avatarium's brand new album for 2019, a superb effort, as if it would be anything else if it bears the trademark guitar playing of Marcus. It's called The Fire I Long For, and you can pick that up after the 22nd of November this year. This is a good chat, but as always with Marcus, it's far too short. Nobody's fault. We're just, I think this is one of those conversations that could have gone on for hours and hours, such as my interest in Marcus's approach to guitar playing. So here he is, the one and only Marcus Jidell.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah,
Hi,
sorry.
how are you?
Silly. I'm good, mate. I've really been looking forward to this chat. As you're probably aware, you probably recall we had a chat, or maybe not with all the people you talked to. But yeah, man.
Yeah, we talked twice.
Yeah, I was really looking
at
forward.
Least.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of your guitar playing, man. It's got to be said.
Thank you.
So
Happy to hear that.
Well, I've been telling you. I think I'm up to 400 there's over 400 podcast episodes that I've posted now. A lot of people from your
wow, that's good. Yeah, I'm seeing quite many listen to someone. It's very nice. So you're doing good with the.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, it's good fun.
It's very nice.
Yeah, it's great fun. I mean, I think when I first interviewed you, you might have been inside of one of my first 10 interview subjects for the podcast episode, if I remember rightly. And
yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, and it's just gone from strength to strength. I think, the relationship I've got with John is wonderful, and he gives me so many great opportunities, man. Like I was, speaking to Phil from Motorhead the other day, and just just people.
I'm gonna listen to that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I can imagine. Yeah, I like Phil. He's a cool guitar player.
He's a nice guy too. He's to the point, which is nice, because he really wants you to talk about specific things. But it's nice to talk to these guys. Like how it is, mate. We listen to this music, but you often don't think you're going to get a chance to talk to the person. And God, in my travels since, man, I've spoken to Peter Criss from Kiss and David Ellefson from Megadeth, and a whole heap, far too many for me to mention. I'm going to miss out on people, but it was nice to have you in the first dozen or so, mate, because it helped me get started, and I think a lot of people have listened to that one, actually, by the way. You should know that, man.
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. That's very nice. Yeah, cool. I'm happy for the support as well. So, and I'm happy that you're doing good with the podcast. That's great.
Well, it's a pleasure, man. It's a labour of love, as you know, as music and anything music related is a labour of love. You well know that.
Yeah, of course.
We're not going to become millionaires doing this.
It's a labour of love. No, exactly. It's a lifestyle, and it's you get. It's always like you give something and you get something, So to me, it's. Money doesn't count. You can't count everything in money. There's a lot of things that you get in life that isn't money, but that makes your life so much better anyway.
Agreed. And that's a really important point, and that'll be. I'll more or less start off on that point there. But I've often said that without the musicians, the magicians, the acrobats, the weirdos and the vagrants and the magicians, man, this world is going to stop moving forward. And you're a big part of that, man. I mean, I don't think people give musicians nearly enough credit for the work that I'll focus on you, man. I mean, your guitar playing is life affirming. The fact that you've studied and you spent so long getting your craft to the point where, I think yourself and Josh Travis from the band Amur are the two, when I say best guitarists, you're the two guitarists that I enjoy listening to specifically for the purpose of guitar playing in 2019. This new album, man, you've done it.
Oh, thank you.
I love how you incorporate so many different styles, man. So just thank you for working on your craft to the point where you've achieved excellence, really.
Thank you so much.
I really get the feeling that there's not many styles of music you can't play.
Well, there's. I have a big interest in a lot of different music. I can say that, and then I'm not like, I have such big respect for musicians in different genres. That's like, I listened to Paco de Lucia the other day, and it's like, okay, that's something totally amazing that I could never do, you know. So there's so much, so many great musicians and great players, but I have a big interest in all different kinds of music. I can say that, and maybe that helped me, you know, to develop what I'm doing. And I'm always trying to push forward, and I'm always trying to. I'm not just listening to guitar players, but I'm, you know, it's like when I listen to, let's say, like classical music, whatever, it's also inspires me, because when you hear a really good classical musician, when they play in some of their pieces, it can be like very melodic and it can be very technical, but when it's one of the great musical pieces, everything works together without, you know, without interfering or, you know, messing
it
up
just happens, doesn't it?
each other's stuff. Yeah, it happens, and it's you get a flow, and it's just becomes music, and that's how I want to try to play when I play music. But you know, it's you always I always try to keep me to be on my toes, and I listen to other guitar players, but I also get one of the things is that I get bored with myself if I don't change. So I always try to move forward and to learn new stuff and to find new ways of playing the instrument.
Yeah, and
that's
a really important point, that one there, and that's why I think you've actually arrived at the point on this new album, The Fire I Long For, where you didn't have to tell me it was an Avatarium release for me to know that it was your guitar playing. You know, and because your guitar playing has a certain vibe, and as far as I'm concerned, you're the modern day Richie Blackmore and Gary Moore. You're that important to guitar playing, you know.
Oh, thank you.
What you're doing,
that's
I think,
big words.
Yeah, look, it might be a heavy cross to bear, but at the end of the day, I do think emerging guitarists, I think it's really important for emerging guitarists to know who the guitarists are to aspire to sound like and who to copy, because we all do it, right, when we're sort of, you know, between the ages of 16 and 25 or even 30. And we're developing, because you're not one of these fretboard wankers where you're all over. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are some that do it really well, but your stuff has feel, and you're very similar. And I had this conversation with Frederick from Opeth, and that you and him both share something, that you've got really solid phrasing. Every note is crisp and it comes through, and it's like a bit like what Clapton did. And still does, of course. You know, in the every note.
He's still great, Clapton, by the way.
Oh, jeez. I mean, I was listening to White Room the other night, and I think, my God, you know, I mean, it's. I mean, I can hear that in your playing. You know, I can hear that DNA is there in your playing, and young guitarists, you know, I know they get into guitar playing through listening to 5 Seconds of Summer and all of that stuff. Fair enough, whatever. They're the gateway bands. But they've got to arrive at players like yourself and Josh Travis. They really have to, if they want to really improve their guitar playing. Because if they sit down and if they study and they really focus on what you're doing, by association, they're going to become a better guitar playing because of the variety of techniques that you deploy across the fretboard. You know, I mean, this first cut is just, man, it's heavy, but it's got soul, voices. And that's what I love about it. You've managed to find the meeting point between really crushingly Candlemass style heaviness, but it's still got some groove and soul to it, and that movement. And then, of course, Jenny's voice right across everything. It's just got that Messiah Marcolin thing happening, and it's just, you know, you've done it. I mean, you're really doing it at the moment, and it's inspiring to people, man. I hope other interviewers give you that feedback. I know I'm at a bit of an advantage because I'm a fan, but also because I'm a musician. But it's so important, I think, that in this world of, you know, we do have a lot to distract us, courtesy of social media. But really, for young people, boys and girls, there's nothing more important in terms of an individual pursuit. Turn off the turn off the internet connection if you have to, and play the guitar or the bass or the drums and lean into it, because it makes you a better human being. It makes you a better person, man.
Yeah, really. You know, to me, that's really true, because without music, I don't know where I would have been. And, you know, working with music is a way to challenge yourself and to push boundaries, and to me it's been so important, just to, you know, to face fears and all these kind of things. And it's developing the the brain in good ways for me anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
so I think it's I think that's a very good point. And but I'm thinking when you said like about I'm very happy when you said that you can recognize my playing, because that's been something that I really wanted uh, to express, my own voice, and it's been important for me because all the players that I love and adore, that's one of the cool things with the old players, I think, like the old school players like Clapton or Gilmore or Blackmore or Angus Young or whatever. They can play one note and you can hear, okay, that's them. Or B.B. King is the really good example of that. But
Yes,
so
definitely.
to me it was like, okay, I want to try to be more personal. I want to, and how can I be that? And for me, one of the things I had to do was like technical wise to turn down like the distortion and try to make it a little bit harder for myself because when you use equipment that makes it too easy to play, for me, like
Yeah,
you
I
have a
know
lot
what
of
you're saying.
you have like the perfect compressed distorted modern like amp, and you have a guitar that's like totally, you can play whatever you want to play on it. To me it gets too easy, and I lose inspiration, and I get less personal. So that was one of the things I've been doing more and more to make it a little bit harder for myself. And that's also maybe one of the reasons why I use a lot of different tunings and that kind of stuff on the albums to not be, to be a little bit out on the deep water and not always know. Sometimes I don't even hardly know what key I'm playing in. So I just have to trust my ears and, try to find something, bend your way and find notes that maybe you wouldn't find otherwise.
Yeah, you're a
So I think it's a
purist.
cool thing to challenge. I think it's important to challenge yourself, as a musician.
If you don't mind me saying, I think one of the best things you did recently was leave Sowen, and the reason for that is because I thought
Oh.
Sowen's music sounded too much like Tool for my ears, and it was a band to be. Out of all, I know the Doomsday Kingdom. You're doing a lot
Yeah,
of stuff. It was the band that you were a
yeah,
part of that I found hardest to get into, but because it was your guitar playing, I found myself forcing myself to listen to it. But it was just too similar to Tool, and I thought that
yeah.
took away from the originality that you really do have within your playing. Do you agree with a statement like that?
What I would say, like that's the reasons why we didn't continue to play together. They're great musicians, all of them, and it's a great band. But I wanted the band to continue uh, from where we started when I started the band with Lekaya, to be more psychedelic and to be more experimental and to be more emotional and less toolish and less like modern or
Yeah, I know what
kind
you're
of
saying. Yeah, the gentle sort of
modern in a
influence.
way that's like, to me, a Tool to I've listened to Tool, and it's I think the soundscape they are painting is quite interesting, but the songs to me gets a little bit boring. I'm more into like songwriting, like in the more like Beatles or Sabbath or
Yeah,
these kind of guys,
exactly. Yeah,
that kind of songwriting, or Neil Young or Crosby, Stills and Nash, that kind of tradition is more what I think is fun to listen to, and what gets me ticking.
yeah. You can hear that.
So
You can definitely hear that, and that's why I think it. And I can totally understand why your services would be in demand, but it's I can really hear, and I do feel as though this album here, The Fire I Long For. Now, I've had it for a couple of weeks, and I'm reticent to say this, but I do think, and I loved Hurricanes and Halos. I still listen to that album, but I have a feeling you might have taken it up to the next level here with this one here. You know that, and
thank you.
that's a big statement, because I think Hurricanes and Halos was, as you know, I feel it was one of the albums of 2017. But
Oh,
I think you've managed to pull it in. The boundaries are even broader now. So you've got the slower songs. So I've been listening to it in the car, so I can't tell you the names of the songs off the top of my head. But you've got the slower songs that lean into the soul and you let Jenny's voice really carry it, but then you got the crushingly heavy stuff that all of the heavy metal fans out there can really sink their teeth into. And so you're really taking people on a journey on this album, man. It's I wouldn't call it a roller coaster. It's more like a voyage, an interstellar voyage.
Oh,
You know.
oh, I'm happy to hear that. It's we really wanted to. I think when we talked about doing this album, we wanted to be more heavy than Hurricanes and Halos, get more back to the doomy stuff, but also move further on, like with bringing more bluesy stuff, even like gospel-ish kind of like dark gospel things, and even some, if you call it Americana or whatever you want to call it, like these Crosby, Stills and Nash. I'm a big Stephen Stills fan, actually. I've been listening to him quite much the last years, and Jimmy Page and Stephen Stills, they use this open tuning that is kind of interesting. So like a song for like Lay Me Down is a homage maybe to these two guys, and
Sweet.
So we want to bring in the heavy stuff, we wanted to bring in the more psychedelic stuff, and I also wanted it, I wanted this album to be big, fat, and I wanted to feel like electric, sparkling electric, the guitars. I really worked a lot with the guitar sounds to make it like, I wanted the guitars to pop out of the speakers, and really feel this is electric stuff. This is electricity. This is not ones and zeros in a computer. This is electricity. Electricity can kill you, but it can also, there's a lot of power in electricity. That's what I wanted to bring out. So there's a lot of big amps, a lot of high volume going on, and it's a lot of, I'm pushing a lot of electrical equipment as much as I can to get all these.
I can hear that.
These big sounds.
What's the effect or the distortion pedal that you've used on voices? Because that's huge. That is just thick.
Oh, I think because I'm playing through an old on that song. I'm playing through my old '73 Marshall super bass, and as far as I remember, I actually used the old Boss Octaver.
Really?
because I haven't used that for a long time. Yeah. And it's because I've been using some other Octavers that are more precise, but this one is not like 100% precise. So because of that, it gets fatter. The sound gets fatter because of that. And so I'm using that Boss Octaver, and I'm using two different fuzz pedals, as far as I remember.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, as well, as far as I remember, it's been a while since I recorded it, but I'm quite sure I used this. I have this. It's called. I actually have it here. Burgundy Busshorn fuzz. Okay. It's a barefoot fuzz, and then the second one I can't really remember which one it was. And then I'm using ribbon mics.
Okay.
When I record it, so but there's a lot of things going on.
So are you
like with the microphones and with preamps and everything?
But are you in the same? Are you in the tracking room? So are you in are you in a control room, and when the amplification is set up in another room? Are you in the same room when you're actually recording?
No, I can't be in the same room because it's crazy loud.
Yeah, I can hear that it's loud.
It's like,
man.
Yeah, because if you go into that room where the amps are, sometimes it's two amps. But on this song, I think I just used one amp. I'm experiencing a lot. Sometimes I use like two amps and a lot of cabinets and a lot of microphones. But on this song, I actually just use one amp, one cabinet, one microphone. But I switched pedals between the songs. I might also have been used like a treble booster or something like that, because I use that sometimes now these days.
And what is that? Is it like a classic Les Paul that you used on that one?
I actually use. I have an old studio Les Paul that I bought like '96 or something. It's I think it's from '95, '96 when the studio Les Pauls were really, really good. It's a good year.
Yeah.
For that, and that guitar, I switched microphones to P90s.
Well, okay.
Right before that recording. You know, the P90s.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a big Mountain fan, and Leslie West,
Leslie West. There you
he
go. Yeah.
yeah, so he used the P90s, and so I was like, okay, this guitar is just it's a great guitar, but it's just sitting. I'm not using it that much. Let's try to put on new microphones on it. So I did, and now that guitar sounds crazy cool. So it's my Les Paul studio with P90s actually.
So are you still doing a lot of production work as well? I take it you would be because you've got a lot of knowledge about this stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing quite much. I have a big interest in how to record stuff and how to make it sound as good as possible. So that's actually what I do. When I'm not touring that much either.
Yeah.
Because I got a son 1.5 year ago. Me and Jan.
Oh, good on you, mate.
So, thank you. Yeah, so I'm very happy about him. He's a great little guy, and
it's busy. I've got 2 daughters, mate. It just adds so much to your day, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's fun, but I'm happy. So I have a studio quite close, so I can go here and work, and then I can spend time with him. So the last 1.5 year I haven't been touring. And I'm very happy about that because I've been touring a lot in my life, but I've been able to spend a lot of time, the first time with my son. But of course I'm gonna be touring again. But I'm happy that I could work, and produce music in the studio and still be able to pay my rent. So so that's good. I love to produce. It's I can spend nights, trying out guitar sounds and different micings and different amps and different things, So I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit of a crazy head in that way.
How do you go then? Because I take it Australia and Sweden have got fairly similar heavy music scenes. Do you get a lot of those young deathcore and metalcore bands wanting your services?
Not much actually. I'm mainly working with. I've been working very much with Leif Edling with different things with him.
Okay, yeah.
I think, and then I've been doing some like progressive stuff, and but not that much. Much of that. I'm also like kind of usually I kind of choose my own stuff that I want to work with, and I'm getting sometimes I'm getting some people approaching me but when they want more like modern, like totally edited stuff, and then I tell them like it's not
your thing.
What I do, it's not my thing. My thing is like I try to make people perform in the studio and get good takes and make it more human, so to speak. I get very bored, with editing drums or whatever. To me, I prefer to rehearse. It's more fun to rehearse. I have a studio where the drummer can rehearse to backgrounds. We can rehearse for some time, and then we can arrange the drums, whatever. Even either like rehearsal space together, or he can be in the room and I put some mics up and we play to the backgrounds and we arrange, together everything, and then we record it. And then we have a good take that's like that feels more natural and more it has more energy, and it's more musical to me than to just edit good takes. To me that's so boring. So some of these maybe some of these younger bands don't want to work that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I talked to you go. Sorry, mate.
But it seems like the younger generation also are starting to get it more than. Sometimes I feel that the younger generation will get it more than my generation now, because men in my generation, they are getting scared. They go into the studio and they're like a little bit scared, for the mistakes and everything. To me, it's like I always try to keep keep as much as possible, learn the song and then you play it, and hopefully there will be some wrongs in it that will make it more interesting.
I,
You know what
I
I mean?
agree with you totally, but I guess there's this thing with and you're right about it not being a generational thing. It's really an attitude thing, I think.
Yeah.
But I do speak to a lot of young bands, and I'm not a massive fan of deathcore and metalcore, it must be said, but I do like to talk to these
Mm.
young guys because they are the future. You know, these guys,
Yeah, yeah,
these are the guys that are
of
21 and
course.
22, and they'll be playing hopefully well into their 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever it might be. But, you know, I've mentioned you a couple
Yeah,
of times to them in terms of
really.
the sort of sound
Huh.
that they could achieve. And because you can have your guitar tone on some of these albums. Like if I'm listening to
Mm.
Thy Art Is Murder, an Australian band, you've probably heard of them.
Uh,
So they're crushingly heavy, right? But I just feel like they need an extra dynamic. You know, so
yeah.
if I ever got a chance to chat to those guys, I'd say, look,
Mm.
have you ever thought about adding any dynamic, like putting in some more traditional guitar solos and stuff over the top, rather than just doing this very futuristic deathcore thing that you're doing? Because man, I tell you what, you can't listen to it for more than 20 minutes in one sitting. I know I
Yeah,
can't, and that's a real
yeah.
issue,
But you
man.
know, I would love. Yeah, I would love to do that. You know, it really, because it would be a challenge for me, and I think it would be a really good match. You know, to to get the great energy from a young band, but to bring in some more like musical way of thinking. If you can combine this, all the energy and aggressivity with
Mm.
with the musicality, with music, you know, musical thoughts and musical feelings and all this kind of stuff, then it can be really interesting music. I think you always need that.
Yeah.
You need all kinds of, you know, all kinds of colors to make music interesting.
Yeah, you're right about some of the younger guys too. About a year ago, I had a chat to Oscar from the Vintage Caravan, who are from an Iceland-based
Oh yeah,
band.
yeah, we toured with them.
Yeah, he's a great young fella, man, and he knows what it's all about.
Yeah,
He's a bit like you in terms of his approach to guitar playing, I think. Well, certainly that's how it sounds.
yeah, he's a great guitar player, nice guy as well.
Yeah, they certainly struck me as an awesome guy, and from our conversation, and I think it's really cool to see these young fellas coming through who really have that grasp of, like, you know, they get the Richie, you know, they get that Richie Blackmore thing that went off into the
Yeah,
Michael Schenker thing that became the Metallica thing. That then there's a whole bunch of other bands that came along in the '90s and 2000s after that. You know, they really get the dots, if you know what I'm saying. So they understand.
yeah, really, really,
Yeah,
I really agree. The thing is, you know, I'm happy to see all these, you know, young bands doing that, and then I just hope that a lot of them continues to find, you know, really their own sound, to bring in the, you know, like what Black Sabbath did with they loved, like, you know, they came from the Beatles tradition or this kind of stuff, and like rock and roll, you know, you can hear Ozzy sing all the, like rock and roll songs on all the recordings, whatever. So they like the rock and roll, they like the Beatles and everything, but they found their own approach to it, you know, and really did something unique. That's
mm,
when you really, you know, when you can reach that, then it's really amazing, which is very hard. But you know, it's always good to set up a goal like that, I think,
mm.
because if you have the tradition with you, you have good tradition, and then you find like, okay, let's twist it a little bit and do it a little bit like this, and then you
Yeah.
can find something really unique and you know, powerful, I think.
Well, that's an important point. And look, I play covers. I'm playing this Saturday actually. So I don't know
Mm,
how many cover songs I've learnt over the years, but it'd be well over 1,000.
okay.
I don't know, many
Yeah.
as a bassist. And one of the things that I tell a lot of young fellas too is learn other people's music. So yeah,
Yeah.
sit down and listen to George Harrison's guitar playing. Listen to how he did it. Find
Yeah.
out the amp that he used. Okay, and try to replicate it through any one of these online applications. You can plug into
Yeah.
Pro Tools and Avid and all this stuff, and just find out. Because I think that, do you agree with this statement that you do become a better player by learning other people's music that have gone before you? So, say for example, you no doubt know a bunch of Richie Blackmore riffs. So, do you think that really helped you become the guitarist you are today?
Yeah, I think it's, of course, it's important to know about other guitar players, and as I said, like, learn the tradition. But then it's also, I I, I listen, as I usually, I've been listening a lot to different guitar players, and not necessarily always, you know, learning every single note they played, but listening to them and trying to understand their philosophy,
Yeah,
and
that's
listening to
important.
the players they liked, you know, and then now and then you pick some phrase. Okay, why does this sound excellent? Okay, they're playing this note like this with a vibrato like that, or with that chord is played behind, and sometimes you try to figure out, like, okay, why does this phrase make me extremely, happy or whatever, what is it about this particular thing that gets me going, so to speak. So sometimes I try to figure out that, but to me, learn history and then try to don't be a copy. Try to put your own stuff in it also, because you can also hear when a guitar player just are like repeating licks. That can also be, there's a lot of players that just like they know every lick in the book, and it's like, okay, that's the Clapton lick, okay, that's the Blackmore lick. If you need to play it from your heart, and you need to find your own way of doing it, and and find your own timing. Timing is as important as vibrato. Everybody's talking about great vibrato, but the timing is even more important. But when you can learn to work with the timing, sometimes play behind, sometimes play before, to make the timing. That's a great, powerful tool, actually. But then you need to learn to really, know what it wants in the twos and threes and fours or whatever kind of.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, you definitely understand.
You need to get it in your body, and to be free,
Wow.
So I would say, and then that's a good way to listen to jazz players and these kind of guys, because they can really play with that.
Absolutely, yeah. You've read my mind on the next point I was going to make, which is, as a bassist, of course, I've got to lock in with the drummer, as you well know. And the amount of bloody drummers I've worked with that simply do not understand the relationship between the 1, the 2, and the 3 and the 4 is incredible. They do not understand that there's an and in between the 1 and 2. And I'm a big fan of disco bass players like Chic, Bernard Edwards from Chic, and Brothers Johnson, man. And I listen to them all the time, right? Like, I'm almost obsessed some days. I just have them on repeat in my headphones, my Apple AirPods, and because I want to understand how they did things, because they've got such impeccable rhythm and technique to really get into the rhythm. And I can really tell when a drummer's been listening to too much AC/DC and they're just rushing the beat, that rushing the beat thing, and I'm like, can you stop that? It's killing the vibe, it's killing the groove.
Well, it's it's a time and place for everything, but it's like,
oh god, yeah,
totally, it's drumming that's a totally whole universe to me. I also tend to like the old school drummers more, because they got more of a jazz touch. They got more of the swing in their playing. I like drummers that has a little bit of swing.
I'm with you there, man.
But whatever, it depends. Different music, different approach. That's also one thing. But one I think we have to stop, because I think we're running out of time. But one good example of drummers is, I never heard anyone play Paranoid with Black Sabbath and make it sound good, except Bill Ward playing it on the original. It always sounds like it's no groove. It's not fun. The song sounds boring. But when you listen to Bill Ward playing it, because he has swing in it, or and it's like he has this like kind of half shuffle, half straight beat going. And when you hear him play it and the band play it together, how they work together, it's like, wow. And it sounds amazing. It's such a simple song, but you need to play it correctly. And I never heard any drummer except him play it like that. And I heard many drummers play that song.
Mate, yeah, you're right. Well, I'm a fan. Okay. Good luck with everything. It's awesome to talk to you again.
It's very nice to talk to you. I wish we could talk a little bit longer.
We'll catch up again. We'll make every time you got a new album or a tour out, mate, we'll definitely be chatting. Yeah,
I'm always available. It's always nice to talk to you, and I really appreciate your, support for my music and everything. It's really great to hear, and you have a lot of good points.
No, thank you, mate. No worries at all. Really appreciate it, man, and thank you so much again, and good luck with everything, eh? We'll chat again.
Yeah, let's do. Have a good evening.
No worries. You have a great day.
Thank you. Okay.
No, thanks, brother.
Bye. Thanks, brother. Thanks.
You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. That interview subject was the one and only the Swedish maestro on guitar, Marcus Jidell from the outfit Avatarium. Thanks so much for listening.